So we are going live here, um, oops, with episode number 4 from season number 1. We are here live from Southeast Asia. So we are Capital Group. We are focused mainly on fundraising. We are focused mainly on various assistance, you could say consulting. So we are doing a weekly wrap up, a weekly show regarding basically companies that recently got funded. So we would like to begin now with our very first article. We will cover this, and then we will offer some comments on who has been funding who, and we'll offer some sort of editorial comments on the business model itself, because we like to spice things up. So let's just jump in right now to first article here. Okay, so the first article is Digestiva closes 18.4 million Series A financing. So in Davis, California, Digestiva, pioneering food biotech company, successfully closed its Series A equity financing round, raising $18.4 million. This significant milestone was led by Magdalena, a global leader in sugarcane processing, Magdalena from Guatemala, with participation from UC Investments, meaning the University of California system, and existing investors, the March Fund and Astanor. So the company's groundbreaking enzyme technology platform was initially discovered by co-founder Dr. Wilson Mack in the lab of renowned UC Davis faculty member Dr. Justin Siegel, a global leader in enzyme discovery, development, and design. So Digestiva's innovative core technology focuses on the discovery and development of proprietary protease enzymes designed to address critical challenges in protein nutrition, functionality, and overall health. Millions worldwide struggle to extract optimal nutrition from dietary proteins, leading to inadequate growth, muscle development, and overall health, with problems that worsen with age. So Digestiva's revolutionary proteases enhance protein bioavailability, allowing people and animals to maximize nutritional benefits from existing diets without increasing protein consumption. These science-driven solutions have the potential to address global malnutrition and promote sustainable nutrition by improving health outcomes and reducing environmental impact. Okay, so alongside the successful Series A financing, Digestiva has entered into an exclusive manufacturing partnership with Magdalena in Guatemala. So under this agreement, Magdalena will enable the scale-up production of enzymes to help Digestiva reach its commercial milestones. So the company is also currently executing multiple pilot projects aimed at accelerating commercialization and achieving initial revenue milestones. That's good. Its first precision protease enhances the processability, nutritional quality, digestibility, and bioavailability of proteins. So this enzyme releases an optimal mix of amino acids and peptides, offering versatile applications in nutrition and protein processing. So yeah, the technology has shown promise. The mission statement is to amplify nutritional impact of food while contributing to a more sustainable future. So if we just transition back here to that, I wanted to check real quick as we go live here about Astanor. So Astanor Venture Capital is out of, let's see, where are they based? They are based in Europe. Okay, that makes sense. Right, Belgium mostly. Okay, so now we will move on to our second article that we wanted to cover today. So Astanor was an interesting find. So let's just make sure we have that on our list here. Let's see here. We've got a long list. So let's just move on to the next article. Moving on to Bioniq. So let's transition here. So this is press release number 2. Bioniq, the leader in AI-driven personalized supplements, raises 15 million Series B. So the company will use funding to continue its global disruption of the existing one-size-fits-all supplement market. So out of Dubai, Bioniq, founded in 2019, renowned for its personalized supplements based on blood biomarker data, today announced the close of its $15 million Series B funding round. The oversubscribed round was led by principal investors HV Capital and Unbound, both leading European VCs. So the company is currently valued at $75 million and will use the funds to further expand its global market share through continued disruption of the dietary supplements market. Bioniq will focus on product development, including global laboratory network integrations, market, operational human resource expansion in the US and Middle East, and implementing a corporate platform for medical, wellness, and athletic institutions. So the company officially entered the United Arab Emirates in 2021, and since then has expanded across the Gulf region, serving customers globally. Bioniq partnered with the Department of Culture and Tourism Abu Dhabi, Metabolic, a hybrid digital therapeutics company, and AI Borg Diagnostics, a leading provider of diagnostic health services in Saudi Arabia, to enhance the personalized healthcare and wellness industries in the region. Bioniq's approach is to tailor-made solutions based on individual data and health goals, and has seen significant growth in the last 12 months, with the highest demand from the US market, which now makes up over 50% of its customers base. So, with some regions growing over 500% in the last 2 quarters. Wow, that's really amazing. So they have the ability to provide quantifiable before and after snapshots of users' nutrition needs, and optimization progress has been one of the biggest assets in its partnership with leading health and sports institutions such as Lanzerhof and the UFC. Bioniq has since become the product of choice for many of the world's top athletes, including Manchester United's Diogo Dalot and former NBA All-Star Andrei Kirilenko, who have used Bioniq for years to optimize their micronutrient levels and enhance performance and recovery. Yeah, personalized health optimization through data. So just wanted to quickly go back here to focus on the companies that were funded into. So both were European based, and it says here Unbound. Unbound seems to be out of London, and then it seems to be here that HV Capital should be based out of, I think, Germany, Munich, Germany. So yeah, Astanor is okay. So moving on to those are the 2 main VCs for that press release. So we will now go to press release number 3, and press release number 3 should be focused on. Let's see here. Yes. Oh, okay. Here we go. This one was quite a big one. So let's just jump right in because it's got a lot of almost 10 folks that have been investing into it. So let's do it right now. Go over this press release. So it's called Biosecurity Threat Software Startup Plants $5.3 million in seed round. So it's an ag tech startup co-founded by the former boss of CSIRO's, Data61, and has raised $5.3 million. So the round was led by existing investors Salus Ventures, which has also backed local deep tech startups such as Heo Advanced Navigation and Q Control. Also chipping in for ExoFlare, which is the company being founded, were Harris Farms, David and Kathy Harris, the Woolworths Venture Fund W23, Tesla chair Robin Denholm's Wollemi Capital, former Rabobank Australia boss Peter Knoblanche, CIA-backed venture capital In-Q-Tel, which we've covered many times on previous shows, and Precision Group, which is a real estate firm in Australia, and Malkinut's regional ag-tech VC Cultivate Funds Management. So the business model. ExoFlare is digitizing the management of biosecurity threats. The platform allows the food and agriculture industries to evaluate and manage biosecurity hazards in real time while adhering to reporting standards. Founded in 2020 and in the market since 2022 as part of last year's Spark Labs Cultivate Climate Tech Accelerator, but declined media coverage at that time. Okay, so Cultivate partner Malcolm Nutt, one of the investors, said the investment into ExoFlare via the Cultivate Agriculture and Food Technology Fund, along with backing another AgTech accelerator run by Wollemi, were examples of Australian innovation that support global food production system sustainability. In the 2 years since we've launched the fund, we've seen very strong tailwinds for the sector, he said. So the 2 areas we're seeing momentum are biosecurity and emissions management, and these sectors are exactly where these 2 companies sit. So the 2 new investments bring the Cultivate Funds Management portfolio to 6 joining companies from Israel, the US, and Australia. So ExoFlare was founded by Adrian Turner, the former CEO of CSIRO's Data6. So the software platform is being used in around half of Australia's poultry farms, some 400 sites, to help manage the disease. Okay. So while the outbreak of the H7 strain of avian influenza has forced farmers to cull tens of thousands of chickens and slowed egg production, concerns are growing that the deadly H5N1 strain could make its way to Australia, decimating wildlife. And that is a fact only because that's how flu works. The bird flu is passed on by wild birds. So if the wild birds mix with the local birds that are in contained facilities, that's when things get a little ugly. So let's just see here. Moving on now to let's make sure we've covered every single person here on the investments. So it says here from the list: Salus Venture Capital's W23, from Woolworths, Wollemi Capital, Harris Farm Markets, Peter Knoblanche, In-Q-Tel USA, Precision Group Australia, and Cultivate Funds Management. Okay, so now let's move on to number 4, which would be Permia Sensing. And if we were to go to that article here, it's a quick one, but we wanted to cover it nonetheless. Oops. So 150k pounds for precision farming techniques in palm plantations. So United Kingdom company. The company has developed precision farming techniques supported by IoT, AI sensors, and robotics to transform the way palm plantations are managed. Quite interesting. So London-based agritech startup Permia Sensing has secured 150 pounds investment from the British Design Fund. So the Imperial College London spin-out has developed precision farming techniques. So this includes helping improve yield through the use of sensors that enable the early detection of damaging pests. Palm plantations play a crucial role in global agriculture, but challenges such as disease, nutrient deficiencies, and drought can all impact heavily on yield. So Permia Sensing improves farming efficiency while enabling a less toxic approach to pest control. The company's acoustic sensors can detect the red palm weevil, RPW, with 97% accuracy. This insect is estimated to damage around 10% of the world's coconut yield, and it has been declared a global threat to the food industry. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so Permia Sensing is currently piloting the solutions in corporate plantations in Sri Lanka as it continues to build connections with plantations across the tropics. So well done. Very interesting article. Now let's just transition to the next article here. Let's make sure that this is, here we go, Syntetica, right? And for Syntetica, wow, like, again, maybe 10 listed investors. So let's just go right in and read this article. Okay, so for this week, Paris-based Syntetica raised 4.2 million euros to scale nylon recycling for the global clothing market. So an innovative nylon recycling startup helping to solve the pollution problem in the fashion industry. So they successfully raised 4.2 million in a seed round led by EQT Ventures in Europe, participation family offices of Peugeot Investments, ETAM Group, ETAM, Volta Circle, according to this article, which is Indorama Ventures shareholder family office. Indorama is out of Thailand, actually. Better Angle, Pareto Holdings, Athletico Ventures, Bear Flag Capital, and then high-profile angels, including two-time Formula E champion Jean-Eric Vergne, IDEC Group CEO Patrice Lafargue, and former tennis player Paul-Henri. So Syntetica will use fresh capital to build out the team's existing expertise with additional technical talent and begin producing the first fully recycled nylon materials for fashion and automotive clients, with the aim of reaching a pre-industrial stage by mid-2026. So it says here, nylon is amongst the most readily used textiles in the market, represent 7% of new textiles manufactured each year, but the vast majority of it ends up in landfills or incineration plants. This is because virgin nylon is commonly blended with other fibers, including cotton, elastane, and polyester, giving it additional qualities for widespread use in activewear, outdoor gear, hosiery, and high-performance automotive textiles, but making recycling it energy and cost-intensive. So it says Syntetica's unique depolymerization techniques has the potential to revolutionize nylon recycling and pioneer the shift to a circular economy for nylon garments. While other nylon recycling processes exist, high temperatures and pressure make them expensive and energy intensive, limiting widespread rollout and exacerbating the textile waste crisis that is plaguing the clothing industry in particular. So a suite of household fashion names are already contract discussions with Syntetica, whose innovative solution is trying to radically shape their supply chains. ETAM, the #1 lingerie brand in France, is currently working with Syntetica to launch a capsule collection using material cycled via Syntetica's process. Okay, and then you have Thomas from a director at EQT Ventures. Okay, so that was an interesting article. It showed a lot of interesting investors, diverse group, including some angels. So now let's transition now again to the next article here. Okay, here we go. Yes, this was a Fugu Energy. So let's see here. How many were in this? Yes, so there seems to be four investors for Fugu Energy. So let's just jump right in here. So Sun Cable OGs raised 1.7 million seed round for their carbon removal and recycling startup Fugu. So this is a Sydney, Australia startup. Fugu Carbon has raised 1.67 million in a seed round to ramp up production of its low-cost carbon dioxide capture technology. The round was led by climate tech-focused Sydney venture capital Investable, with support from Andrea Gardner's Gelix Ventures, as well as Melbourne capital tech fund Electrify Ventures, and Counteract, a London-based venture capital specializing in carbon removal. So the capital of Fugu, named after the notorious pufferfish that's a Japanese delicacy, but potentially toxic, to scale up their units and sell carbon dioxide to their first customer in Sydney. The team is expanding at their Glebe-based research and development facility with plans to build thousands of machines that will suck millions of tons of carbon dioxide from the air by 2030. Fugu co-founders Mac Thompson and Dr. Luke Marshall were key players in the wildly ambitious $30 billion Sun Cable renewable power project, which did not do so well. This is a climate-focused play. So it says here, to hit our climate targets, we will now need to plant approximately 3 new Amazon rainforests by 2050, on top of decarbonizing industry and society, and that will be incredibly hard to do in such a short time frame, according to Dr. Marshall. So not many visuals provided here. I do know that there's a few other companies that are trying to basically take carbon dioxide out of the air, but having said that, I will need to just leave that there for now, because it seems to be mostly Australian investors, but it's for what is it, $1.67 million. Not sure if that's Australian dollars or US. Okay, now let us move on to the next article here. Briefly, Bio. So they've raised 1.2 million pre-seed to revolutionize scientific experiment documentation using AI. So it's a London-based biotech addressing the reproducibility crisis in science. And so they've now launched with 1.2 million in pre-funding. The round was led by Compound VC, I believe out of New York City. Additional support from NP Hard out of Europe, and then Tiny VC. Tiny VC we've covered before. So it's the tiny supercomputer. So the reproducibility crisis in science. Preclinical efforts such as failing to reproduce experiments, innovative software solutions. So crucial details often go undocumented, hindering scientific collaboration. So with their company, Briefly Bio, they have AI-powered software provides a shared language for experiments, ensuring consistency and clarity for collaborators. So it's really data collection of a lot of clinical trials and pieces of data sets that maybe will sit in silos and then not be unbeknownst to other projects that maybe are trying to gather or work from the same pieces of information. So that's an interesting article. And then the 3 venture capital companies in it seems to be a nice distribution, and that'd be basically $400,000 per VC if the investment were to be shared equally. Okay, so now just two more articles here to wrap up. Onego, 15.2 million animal-free egg protein production. Out of Finland, and they received funding from the European Innovation Council Accelerator Program, the EIC fund. Having said that, I know that looking at Crunchbase, they've received a lot of other Finnish and Scandinavian investors leading up to their Series A, and including their Series A. But now they've got basically European Union money. And then finally, last but not least, MIDI Labs. So they received $3 million seed round to tackle methane emissions in rice farming. So this is quite interesting for those of us that are directly involved with rice farming. They're tackling methane emissions in rice farming. And then their investors include Lightspeed Ventures, Voyager Ventures, and Overview, in addition to angel investors. So here, the firm recently launched 5 projects across 30,000 hectares in India, with 10 more in the pipeline, and is working with the Syngenta Foundation and Tilda rice maker Ebro Foods to train farmers in techniques it claims can reduce water use by 30% and methane emissions by half. Okay. These are measured by using AI models trained on ground data and remote sensing to generate carbon credits, says the firms, which has been collaborating with Cornell University, the International Rice Research Institute, and the USDA on methane abatement and measurement technologies. So in its first rice season, Media Lab started collecting data, training, and calibrating its models, according to co-founder Xavier Laguarta. So this season is the first where we are officially onboarding farmers into our carbon program. So the first batch of credits should be issued around July or August of 2025 next year. Okay. So rice is responsible for more than 8% of anthropogenic methane emissions. That's true. While it doesn't produce as much methane as livestock, which account for almost a third of anthropogenic caused by human methane emissions, rice production accounts for an estimated 8%, according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. Some of this is generated from burning rice stubble after the crop is harvested, although the bulk comes from an abundance of methane-producing bacteria that thrive when fields are flooded. Many labs, right? So we know that details. So the season starts with land leveling, and then farmers set up a nursery for seedlings, which are then transplanted up to the field. The standard practice is continuous flooding throughout the season, and then after harvesting, farmers usually burn the stubble so the leftover biomass acts as organic manure for the following season. Correct. So methane mitigation strategies for rice farmers. So founded just last year by Xavier, Devdut, and Nate, they're working with local partners on established approaches to tackle methane emissions in rice farming, from DSR, direct seed rice, planting seeds directly into rice fields, which don't have to be flooded all the time, rather than transplanting seedlings, to alternate wetting and drying, AWD, where fields are periodically allowed to dry versus being continuously submerged. Okay, that's certainly the case in many parts of Southeast Asia where it's AWD, and some farmers can only flood their fields twice a week because they only have water access twice a week, certainly in the dry season. Okay, so there's no silver bullet. It's a menu of options. Who knows that the goal is always to help farmers increase yields and improve productivity, which in turn reduce emissions per kilo produced. In each region, different approaches will work better, but the lowest hanging fruits are different seeding practices, water management, and no burn at the end of the season. Okay, that's going to be very difficult from some farmers, but I mean, is it methane that you want to fix, or is it carbon dioxide? So for the majority of the season, weeds are not an issue, so you don't need to have constant water in the field. Alternative wet dry is essentially letting the field dry to a certain point throughout a big portion of the season. But for the last quarter or third of the season, you do want to have the water lay, or you will have weed problems and yields will go down, right? As for implementation, he says direct seed doesn't necessarily require specialist equipment, although machinery is helpful, but it does require that farmers buy different seeds that are slightly more expensive. Their advantage is the DSR that for the farmers, as it shortens the season slightly and means they don't need to do the transplanting of the rice, which is usually a process that requires them to hire outside support for at least a week, which is pretty costly. That's true. That's true. Transplanting the rice. Yeah, but it's just more labor intensive. But either way, I mean, you're still starting with a seed stock batch that will be transplanted within a week of growing and sprouting. So he says that alternating wet and dry is the easiest to implement, but it needs to be done well, meaning you need to let the field dry down to the right points, and you will also make sure you're doing it at the right points of the season. But all you need is a pipe where farmers can observe what level the water is at, so that's probably the lowest hanging fruit. All we need is a pipe where farmers can observe what level the water is at. Okay. That's the lowest hanging fruit. So for the no burn strategy, he adds, that requires a bit of a business model, so the biomass needs to be collected and processed. It's not enough to just say to farmers, hey, don't burn the biomass. Okay, that makes sense. But there is a clear return on investment for farmers engaging in these methane mitigating measures, or will that only come from generating carbon credits? So how credible are these credits in a voluntary carbon market that has come under increasing scrutiny? That's for sure. So according to one of the founders, they are always thinking what other levers can be pulled to support farmers outside of carbon credits. So DSR versus the alternating can deliver cost benefits in the form of reduced cultivation time, water, and labor costs. And no burn can potentially generate revenue if you find a market for the biomass. But AWD is purely offering an environmental benefit, right? So all of these programs are OPEX intensive. We've got 120 field agents on the ground working with thousands of farmers, and that means education, handholding, and training. So we need the carbon markers to come into the picture. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It means that, yeah, how do you measure and validate methane reduction in rice farming? It's interesting, but look, this is an interesting article, but ultimately there's only 3 investors in this startup right now. We're sort of getting into the nitty-gritty here on rice farming. Very interesting article for those of us that do rice farming and employ people. So yeah, Lightspeed Venture Partners, Voyager Ventures, and Overview, among other angel investors not listed in this article. So okay, so with that being said, I think that pretty much covers everything for this week. So keep it there. We will leave it there now for this week's episode. In summary, we are Capital Group. Since before the pandemic, for many years now, we've done many capital raises, whether it's friends and family, angel, pre-seed, seed, Series A into Series B. We've done SPV structuring, special purpose vehicles. We're experts on holding companies. And our business model right now is focusing on those startups and those institutions that are looking for assistance in their fundraising, looking to expedite their fundraising, or any additional sort of value add as advisors or consultants wherever we may be of assistance. So looking forward to giving you next week, hopefully, another great series of companies funded, and next week a nice, wonderful list of investors who are also investing into startups, and a lot of startups who need the funding, are looking for the funding, and are able to find that funding, and we can help tell that story. So with that being said, wishing everybody a nice day and week, and come back next week hopefully with another round of